Good morning from New York. And today's subject, conquering our boring selves, creativity, going beyond words, the path of enlightened love. So, we fall into patterns, expectations, and we trudge along thinking about what other people want, how we might appear to someone else. And we lose our authentic creative selves. One of the first steps to conquering our boring self is to challenge it. To get in touch with our authentic self and let it dance and sing. Literally. I hope you get what I'm saying. And you see in NDEs the brain going crazy with creativity. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a shock to the system to get us out of our boring selves. There's been a lot of creativity with this big political situation in the world today, where there's a throwback to things that are lesser and far less virtuous and caring. Our animal reptile brains, Nazism, for instance. Party of hate. Table 9. But the pain and the fear that was generated legitimately by seeing this whirlpool of anger and fear gave birth to a lot of creativity. Who would think? You know, I sometimes you just have to have a little bit of shock to the system. And I've seen so many creative things coming out. The wildly off cue and strange and over the top sorts of creativity from the right, and the amazing and comedic impact of the left. Am I biased toward the left? Is that my boring self? There you go. Have to consider sometimes that I could be wrong. that there are things on the right, after all, that are worth preserving. Not everything in history and in the past was a bad thing. So challenging yourselves, challenging ourselves, you see, always include this person, yourself, when you're thinking about advice. You know, otherwise you're a hypocrite. So you're challenging yourself. And that part of the challenge is to go beyond words. Words can be locking you into your cultural norms and biases. Chatter, 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 always the same thing. It can keep you locked away from your authentic creative self, keep you chained. So a lot of people saw, I've seen, the Pentecostals rolling on the floor, babbling nonsensically, and calling it a language. And, well, let's flip the tortilla. Maybe they're looking for something more creative. Maybe they're trying to provide a little shock to their system. In music, there's something called scat, which is just creating sounds. It sound a little like language, but it really aren't. Do a little music. Well, I experienced that creative application of the speaking in tongues. Now, I don't believe it's a language. Sorry. Maybe sometimes it is. Who knows what's possible, but highly unlikely. But I experienced a whole group of people cutting loose and making up sounds and just a little bit of harmony coming from, I believe it was a harp and a flute. So that there was something to work around. And, but creatively. And it was beautiful, It was like a din of sound, people all being and being their own creative self, and it followed a pattern. It rose to a crescendo, and it was over 100 people, way over actually. And it rose in a crescendo, and then it began to taper off in the last notes of the flute and the harp. Just put a final touch on it. It was amazing. Sometimes you have to lose your mind to find it. So, I just love it, and it's become part of a system of mental healing that I have created, you know. And, I just love doing it. And it can be very expressive of how you feel. And it's when you go beyond words and you blend in love, giving and receiving, you're in the love zone. There's music to that. It's a path of enlightened love, which is what I preach on this channel constantly, and struggle for the words to adequately explain the awesome impact of what came to me from my creative mind. I'd been influenced by a lot of different people, and you have too. But when we share our creative, authentic selves, progress happens. It's magic. I just, you know, I just want to sing right now. I want to express what I'm trying to say without words. How can I? Amina sola ismareno. Amina. Uru chilenu. Aruluso. You see, it kind of has a pattern to it, doesn't it? And you can't be creative without being authentic. And your authentic self is the self in you that's honest with what you need, and confident enough to give, to reach outside of your own mind, to empathize with others, or with some of the other personalities that exist inside yourself. And, comedians play with that all the time. They do interpretations of other people. They try to create personas that are comic, and that over exaggerate like a cartoon certain things. Like if someone were to draw a cartoon picture of this face, it would be this huge nose and the big ears, the major features, and a little bit exaggerated, so it would be a little bit funny. Comedy is creative, definitely. um, but being your authentic self means that you cut loose on your creativity, your imagination. Let it fly, let it sing, let it dance, let it go past who you think you are. And it sounds a little zen, doesn't it? There is no unchanging self in you. That doesn't even exist. Your authentic self is not a self at all. it's, it's a pattern. It's you getting your needs met and meeting the needs of other people, having a love flow going on. You've got your trading partner. Every living thing is a trading partner in life. And that's why the natural habitat's so very important. And we're killing a lot of our trading partners in this circle of life. Species are becoming extinct that were really great trading partners for us. The bear, the snake, and the kangaroo. In some way, all good for you. So let's consider just how you can get outside of words. I've talked about creating sound. Does that mean you have to do it, with your own voice? Well, it connects to your feelings more, I think. But there are people who are great with a harp or flute. That'd be a little broad. You could do this in another way. But to be playful with sound is one way to get in touch with the authentic you, the flexible, changeable, constantly fluctuating you. How are you going to become your better self if you're stuck in the same old patterns? If you're stuck in a rigid ego concept or an ego concept at all. So when I talk about mysticism, I'm talking about getting out of your ego and connecting with your authenticity, part of you that is a trading partner in commerce of love. It doesn't require anything supernatural. As one scientist said, when people are saying, "Where's God of this equation?" And he said, "Well, I have no need of it." But is the concept of God dead in modern times? Let's be creative. I think that if there's something outside of what we understand, we can still put a name on it. Maybe the universe is God for you. But if you're talking higher power, let's say that's your brain. Your brain needs exercise. If I only exercise my right arm, then, I'd have a great right arm, but it'd be a little bit out of sync. Wouldn't it? Need to exercise my whole body, to get in better shape. So you need to exercise your whole mind. Now, is language important? Yeah. And you can express empathy in your communications. And that's a big part of the philosophy of this channel. You know, that you try to empathize with others and the others and yourself inside your own mind. Yeah. And that gets you out of this rigidity. That gets you into a more creative mindset. But if you're just wildly creative, you know, maybe that's, you know, if you lose the music, if you lose the emotional impact, if you lose the love flow, the creativity is just madness. You know, I'm not asking you to go crazy. I just, or myself, as makes myself a little crazy. But I ask myself every day, is it crazy to think that I am what I think I am? That the universe is what I think it is. That kind of crazy is, you know, the questioning of crazy is important. Yeah. Assuming you have the right answer, never the best answer. Every new question that seems to be resolved opens more questions. That's part of the creativity. That's part of being your authentic self, is to be a scientist. And being a scientist, that's part of the process of being your authentic self, your authentic creative self. Now, there are three kinds of love that we exchange in language, and they're forms of empathy. There's creative, which I've been talking about, the ability to see things from a lot of different perspectives, and loving people with that, with your music, with your comedy, your changing of the feel of things. Um, you can also love with objectivity, with counseling, guidance, and you can love with compassion. Value of compassion is that you help someone to feel safe. So, especially safe to feel, safe to connect to themselves, to their real self. I also use three forms of approach to your authentic self that goes completely beyond language. It is devoid language. That means you're getting in touch with your ability to feel, and in your feelings are all about an exchange, a trade, love of one form or another, or an ability or a reaction that gets you away from threats to that. That's your feelings. And and says, or more than that, and I've got a list over here. Hush. It's a video. I'm close enough here with that statement. Now, whoa, there's uh, there's an approach which involves focus. To focus on what you feel, on this flow inside you. It's all these emotional feelings and sensations that are going on inside your body and your brain. You know, focus on it. You know, you need that. That gives you something to work around. Then that's the focus practice. And kind of, these are all forms of, the other forms that I'm talking about were forms of role play. When I was talking about the perspectives of empathy, they're all communications within your mind um, with that part of you that's your feeling self. The self in you that's more like a kid with some language ability, but able to communicate with language, but more about your feeling self. And then these other interactions inside your mind um, stimulate and provide a little bit of a shock against who you think you are and how you should feel, and they provide sources of virtue, natural. Objectivity gives you truth, creativity, artfulness, compassion gives you goodness. So these are dialogues. You're talking between this language self in you that's called the kid, the more emotional part of you, interacting with the more adult in you, your inner counselor, and your inner caregiver. And practice there, you're actually just talking to important uh, people in your life, and that's their part of your love interaction. And when you're talking to these important people, you're automatically changing from being a caregiver to the kid in you, and vice versa. Um, depending on who in your mind you're talking to. It's a kind of daylight dream that I'm describing here, and one that you have some control over, but which you, because you're using many different perspectives, you're providing a shock to the system, getting in touch with your true creative self that isn't ruled by algorithms or that are being thrown at you by the internet or any religion. You're free. And your creative self, I call your inner artist, there's an exchange between the kid in you and this inner artist that can create new scenarios, new situations, new perspectives. And maybe that's your inner comedian at times. Maybe that's your inner painter, painting a picture. Maybe it's your movie maker. You're creating a scene for the kid in you experience. So the power of all of these things is in using them all, and that's a more intensive impact. So you can dose this process according to what comforts you. You have to stay in your comfort zone. You don't want to go crazy. You want to stay in your comfort zone, but you want to challenge that boring self in you. You don't want to be boring. You know that your boring self is not the real you. You're part of the wonder of the universe. That's the real you. Be that. So I've talked about focus, and I've talked about the scat approach, using what sounds like language, but isn't, in order to neutralize. You're still focusing on your feelings, but you're neutralizing the impact of language, which can lock you into certain perspectives. And then there's the expression, to express your emotions, your feelings without words. That's, when you go, ow. That's what a baby's able to do. You don't go, I feel a pain. When you're feeling it, you want to express it, it comes out without words, usually. Sometimes it can come out as cussing, which is not really language. You don't really take what you're saying literally, hopefully. Yeah. Dang it all. Do you want to dang or damn everything? No, you don't. You're just expressing a feeling, a negative feeling, which is okay. But yeah. So if you breathe in, you breathe out, which keeps you in touch with your feelings. You can use sounds like ah, ooh, and those are very effective sounds. Get language out of the expression of your feelings. And to, totally get, it's more intensive than the scat approach, which is still valuable. It gets more directly in touch with what you're feeling, to let your feelings be totally felt and expressed. So when you put all of these different approaches together, you're killing that boring self. And it's a little scary at points. It can be. And involving, it's great to have someone who's been the path, especially if they're a trained therapist. And I would say experiencing this path is probably more important than the education in some cases. If you clearly have a mental disease, then seek a therapist. You can't have your drama, and the drama is having you. Maybe you need some outside help, and that's okay. It's part of the love flow. But you build up your self-confidence by working on this problem of the boring, uncreative you on your own, within your own mind. And in your daily life, that's important too. You have to keep on living. You never let a group of techniques or approaches rule your life, but they can benefit your life. So, conquering the boring self in ourselves means you have to provide some shock, a little bit of disturbance. Reminds me of this story about the pool of Bethesda, where an angel stirs the water, disturbs the water, and if you were, and then in that disturbance, you find healing. So mythology like that often points to deep truths. You have to disturb the water, and you have to enter the water. And this powerful expression, this movie mythology was very well expressed in the song Wade in the Water. And wade in the water, wade in the healing water, wade in the water, children. God's gonna trouble the water. The angel troubling the water, you entering the water, wading in the water to find your healing. And this is all about code in the days of slavery to help slaves find their freedom. So today, thank heaven that doesn't exist, at least to that degree. But let's have you trouble the water and wade in it. Trouble the water of your mind and wade in it so that you can find healing. You know, it's what, 38 minutes already. Okay. Well, the important thing for what can you do? You can subscribe to the channel. Why? Because, and comment, and why? Because we want to trouble the water with people who understand the need for empathy and awareness and communications, whether between ourselves or within ourselves. We want to find those people, and we want to get you onto Zoom calls talking about your life and expressing your creativity, your talents. And that's what we want to do. And that's why it's important for you to subscribe to the channel and comment so we know who you are. And of course, the team is growing. We have 3 active managers. I'm one of them on the channel. And none of us have a whole lot of time. I don't have a lot of time, but I make time every day just to keep the channel alive and to keep the voice out there. And at times, you know, you go, oh, is it a political channel? No, is it a healing of the mind channel? Yes and no, um, on both of those questions. It's core philosophies that you need to trouble the waters of your mind and wade in that water to be healed, to find your virtues, your better self. You're definitely not boring self. So, in conclusion, I love to sing a blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rain falls soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand, or her hand, or its hand, however you see the source of all love. Yes. Trouble those waters. Find the wonder. Carl Sagan, the great physicist, said, "We are the universe knowing itself. Be that. Honor that in each other." And namaste is a goodbye and a hello that means what Carl Sagan said. So make a better day today. Make a great day today. Be your creative self, real you. And namaste.